We've been there before, friends. We've been in this position where we want to become the God of God before. And it's recorded to us in ancient wisdom. This isn't the first time humanity has flirted with the temptation for divinity. Recently, the Future of Life Institute issued a statement, really a petition actually, calling for signatures and asking for a pause on the development of further AI until we can get our hands around what this is going to do to humanity and what the implications for artificial intelligence actually are. That's fascinating all by itself because some of the people who actually signed this document are intellectually and technologically progressive people like Elon Musk and others, and they're calling for a pause. But a study done of developers of AI is equally, if not more, fascinating. Almost half of the number of developers who were studied think that there is a 10% chance, up to a 10% chance, that artificial intelligence could end humanity as we know it. That's fascinating because that's not an insignificant chance. And half of the developers, those who are developing AI, think that it could actually result in our destruction. The question then arises, given all the warning signs, why are we creating something that we think has a 1 in 10 chance of possibly ending it all? If we answer that question, then we can grasp what we need to wrestle with about ourselves as we learn to harness the good about AI and avoid the downfalls and the pitfalls. Now, I think there is an answer to this, and it comes from ancient wisdom, but there's some modern evidence for why human beings are so breathless in their creation of something that could result in their downfall. And I think it's the desire to become God ourselves. Ray Kurzweil answers the question, does God exist, by saying, not yet. Martine Rothblatt says that when we build AI, we are making God. Kevin Kelly believes that we can see more of God in a cell phone, something we create, than in a tree frog, something supposedly God has created. And Elise Bohan says that we are building God. That is what human beings are eventually doing. We've been there before, friends. We've been in this position where we want to become the God of God before. And it's recorded to us in ancient wisdom. This isn't the first time humanity has flirted with the temptation for divinity. The ancient wisdom of the Bible speaks to this. A book thousands of years old and centuries in the making speaks to the issues we're facing in the 21st century. You look at Genesis chapter 1, the very first book of the Bible. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 says that human beings are created in God's image. We have creative capacities, we have emotional capacities, we have relational capacities. Above all other creatures, animals or anything else, we have those abilities. But we're not quite God himself. In fact, in Psalm 8, we read the question, what is man, O God, that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you care for him? You created him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor. You see, we're not just machines that Dawkins or Krauss would say that we are, or perhaps someone like Sam Harris, but we are not God himself. We are something beautifully and wonderfully made in between. Adam and Eve knew that, yet they chose to elevate themselves to deity in the garden. You see, in the beginning of the Bible, we read the story that Adam and Eve were placed in a garden that was ideal for them. They could eat anything they wanted, and they could work the field and get enjoyment out of working the fields. They could have any fruit they wanted, except for the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because they weren't capable, as mere humans, of understanding the enormity of good and evil without the temptation of trying to become God and then determining what's good and evil in and of themselves. Yet they chose to imbibe of that fruit. They decided they wanted to be God, not just to be with God. This is happening in our day once again as we race against each other to create better and better AI, despite acknowledging the risk that it could be our downfall. But notice something, we're upping the game from Adam and Eve. We want to best God. We don't want to be God. We want to best him by creating something in our image that is even greater than ourselves, something that's faster at calculation, better at problem solving, and even creating better art and music than we can create. But you see, the problem in our self-aggrandizement is that we will rely on this machine to do things for us. And that reliance will cause us to lose our creativity and our insight and our wisdom, the very things that make us human and make us made in the image of God. And in so doing, our reliance on AI will cause us to not know what's real and what isn't. In striving to become gods, we become mere machines. The anxiety that comes from living in the tension between seeing ourselves as mere machines or gods will be over because the tension will be resolved. We will become the automata some have told us we actually are. Now, we won't be pausing AI development anytime soon, so we have to temper it. We have to measure it by fully understanding what we are and what we were intended to be and what's in store for us. You know, the fact that AI even exists, that this simulacrum, this imitation of mind, was created by the collection of so many brilliant minds over the decades it took to make it, shows us that minds don't just pop up naturally. Other minds have to be behind them, unless you are the uncaused cause who is God. And that uncaused cause created the minds that we have today. The fact that we can create something that looks like a mind shows us that minds are not happenstance. They are created on purpose. The message of the Christian cross is that despite humanity's attempt to seize divinity, God so loved the world that he made in his image, that he entered into our world to redeem us from that which enslaves us. So perhaps we should look to a message that acknowledges our dangerous and irresponsible pride, and look instead to the one who does something about that dangerous and irresponsible pride. And if we heed what happened in our first downfall, and we cling to a gospel message of redemption from that downfall, we won't need to temper AI's development. We'll just temper our development. And so perhaps we can avoid the tragic irony that deifying ourselves will end up enslaving us by taking this potentially wonderful product of our God-given ingenuity and using it in a way that glorifies God while serving humanity.